Okay, so we're back, and I have lots of screws now. And since we happen to be working with two drivers at the moment, the impact driver and this Ryobi driver as well, what we can do is have one bit in one of them and the other bit in the other, and we don't have to keep swapping out today, so that'll be nice. Let me just find the correct one again. Now, actually, since I have this Ryobi, it's probably easier to go ahead and just use one of these 2mm that need a proper drill, since this is a more or less proper drill. So let's stick that in there. There we go. That should be alright. And then we need our screwdriver in the other. Oops. Whoa. Throwing things all over the place. Maybe I should slow down just a little bit. Let's put some things away so we're not making a mess. There we go. Alright, so first we'll stick this here. That looks okay. Make a quick drill hole. Well, let's see. How do we want to do this? I don't know if I want to go 4 holes for this, because it just seems a little overkill. I wonder if I could get away with, well, I might still have to just put 4 on each side just to kind of really make sure that it's the appropriate tightness on all corners. And we're going to need to also drill our holes that we have already drilled in our wooden block through the carpet so that we can get things in. Now, I don't think that we need to go as big around as our 9 here. If we put like an 8, that would probably I think help, because this is rubbery, right? So it probably will stretch a little bit if you really ram something down in there, and that might take the place of having to put any rubber bands in there. So I'm going to try that just to kind of see, and if I have to later enlarge it with like a cutting knife or something, it's not a big deal. I guess it's good that we did these in the middle so that I can put screws in the sides. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that first. Get that straightened up. Make sure that it folds well. Okay. Here's one. Okay, and the screw right down in the hole that we just drilled. Easy to see. Not changing bits, so should be easy. Excellent. Yeah, that goes pretty well. All right, let's do that. Make sure we get this corner lined up pretty well, because we still have to trim and everything, so that seems okay. There may not be lined up all 100% exactly the same, but that's fine. Oh, that looks superb. All right, so there's one. Now we need to figure out where this hole is. I tried to center it, but it's slightly right of center. So what I think I'll do is I will do something like this where I fold it in half. Alright, and with my hobby knife here, I'm going to try to poke a hole close to the middle. And that's a little bit to the right of the middle, as I see as I fold it over. So, what we'll do, just cut that hole out a little bit more, maybe triangular wise. And can we get, okay, I'm seeing where it is, it's right there. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, you know what, I just put it away, and I guess I shouldn't have. This stepping bit, I think, is going to be perfect, because we want it to be about 8, I think. And we'll just try to line it up here. And drill it. To 8. Where's 8? Where's 8? There's 8. 8's a slightly larger one. Okay, that looks alright. There's our hole. It's not completely round, but it doesn't really matter. That might also help just kind of hold things in. Clean out our hole a little bit. Oh, there's lots of fuzz in there. Let's see if we can get that out. There we go. That's looking better. Okay, that should be just fine. I'm not too worried about it being like exactly right, because like I said, it might help hold in our cat toys. So let's go ahead and give this a little carving with our notch. Oh yeah, that was a nice carve right there. You get better at this stuff as you do it. This is only like the, what, 7th or 8th time that I've carved these notches, but already they're getting a lot better. So that's good. And I will probably also, I don't know if I have to put actually quite as many screws into this side. I think maybe just a couple, since this is going to be in one of the non-end sections. Maybe if I just put a couple, one in the bottom right, bottom left and top right corners, I think that's going to be just fine. So let's swap this out real quick, get my screwdriver ready, my drill, make sure that's nice and tight so we get right where we want it to be. Let's stick in one. Now, I certainly don't want to try to drill through the screw like I very nearly did last time. So what we'll do, we'll just drop it a little bit below, I guess. That should be okay. So clearly, if you were to like try to produce these things, then you would want to have a better way of attaching your carpet. But since we're just making a prototype and really don't have any interest in trying to produce these things for now, I mean, I might change my mind at some future date, but as it is, it's just it's a fun project, right? I'm a big fan of the open source movement, and so for me, an open source project is going to be better than a project for money. I hate to say it, because we need money, but I don't know. I like the idea that knowledge is free. I just can't get past it. Alright. Ooh, I kind of overdid the tightening on that one. Let's back that out just a little bit. Try to prevent some problems that might attempt to arise later. Yeah, that's you can see here it tends to want to pull away a little bit. I really tightened that down a lot. I might move that one. just to prevent problems there, because that's, whoops, that's okay. All right, let's try again. I wonder if I just, let's have a look here at the other side of this. Maybe if I just screwed it in one more time and didn't do it quite as tight after working it a little bit. Maybe that's going to be okay. Yeah, because that was definitely a little too tight. The old impact driver is really good at that. It's very good at over-tightening things. Well, again, it's not great, but maybe it's okay. The cat shouldn't be grabbing too much of this up here. The main reason we're coating this in carpet as well is just so that it kind of looks the same, right? It looks nicer when it's all together looking the same than when this thing was just looking like wood. So that's okay. We will continue. Oh yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better. Look at that. It all came out in one go as well. That's great. Okay. Looking good. Let's go ahead and get this one down first. Try to get 4 in the corners below this one here that we had to go in from our last loop. That looks pretty good, I think. Let's hope it doesn't. Well, let's go down one more. Okay. Should be fine. Right there. Don't over tighten. That's, well, a little better. That's better. Okay, I'm liking that one. And again, since this is a non end section, we'll just do 2 screws. I think it's going to be enough. All right. So maybe on a non-end section, I'll move this one down a little bit so that our other screw can go more closer to the top. Try to make sure that it stays nice and secure. And I felt that go into the void of our hole that we have for the toy, but I don't think the screw is long enough to actually fill it, so maybe we'll be okay. Have a quick look. Oh yeah, we're fine. Though certainly we did drill through, but we didn't go through with a screw, so that's excellent. All right, so now our last little bit here, and then what we'll do is we'll trim it up. Let's just make sure that we're trying to stay as even as possible at the top. I noticed that I did kind of let it go over a bit, but that's okay. I'll trim that too. Let's just pull it back down. Get it over here. All right. Let's go to this corner first. Now we want to make sure we're not hitting these ones, so we need to drop it down a little bit. Unfortunately, it's just the way it goes when you're screwing things together. Would have been better, perhaps, to glue. But as I've said before, I doubt the ability of glue to hold this thing on there appropriately for being scratched and whatnot. Alright. Looks okay. And let's get another one over here. Again, same kind of thing, so let's just move it up a little bit. Looks alright. Not too far over. Oh, I'm way too far over. Yeah, right about in here. I can see some splitting going on from those cracks that this piece of wood had, but maybe it's okay. Didn't fill any screws so far, so we're probably alright. Now where is this thing? It's harder to see, but I think that's it. Does appear to be the spot. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now maybe we'll get another couple in here and maybe at least just the one down below, so that this side is a little bit sturdier. Although, well, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, you can never have too many screws, right? Actually, you can, but in this type of a situation, I don't think having an extra screw right here is going to be too many. But perhaps you can see here from the top, you get a little bit of a crack right there from this original screw, but that's because this wooden block is recycled, and that's where there was a little bit of a crack to begin with. But I think we're okay. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and trim this with a proper knife. Alright. I don't really care that I'm cutting on my wood here. It's going to be covered with these things anyway, this carpeting. Alright, that's more or less okay. A little crooked, but maybe it's going to be alright. Just give it a trim there, straighten it up. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have this all the way around. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We did not drill a hole through here, but I can luckily see it. So, swap back over. And our 8 is our third one down. Now let's find this hole as best we can. I think it's about right there. Oh yeah. That was perfect. Try to get some of this carpeting out of there. We need to use our knife. That was not so bad, after all. I don't really see much in there. Did it all come out somehow or just get pushed to the sides? I don't know. But okay, there's our 2 holes. Excellent. There's the sides. Let's go ahead and trim up spots that didn't go on so even. Just so that other parts go on a little bit better. Alright, that looks okay. There's the top. Didn't have much off there. Now the bottom, where we have quite a bit more that's kind of off center. At an angle a bit, and then just follow the bottom. Okay, good, alright. Now, the reason I don't want this extra is because it's going to be spinning next to a bunch of other carpeting, and if I have too much extra, I feel like it's going to interfere and maybe get caught, but that looks to be more or less okay, right? We have just a little bit of a gap there. I think that should be just fine. Now we still want to get a couple little tiny screws and just screw them in here and here as well, and maybe fill in some of this with hot glue and maybe press it down, just to kind of keep our top as clean as possible. And so we'll get to that in just a moment. Unfortunately, for a 20-minute video, we are now reaching the end of our time. So let's go ahead and stop this video, and we'll be right back. I will get some other things prepared, hot glue gun, maybe a little bit more carpet for the top of this. I have some wire here already that we're going to try and run from our wires that we have in here that are supposed to be power wires, and we'll go ahead and run out some of it to the bottom, and then I will go and find, well, then I will actually hopefully get this glued on as well, get everything turned on. We'll try to figure out like the best power, whether it's going to be 9 or 7 volts, and then I'll try to go see if I can buy something that's just right. I'm leaning towards 9 volts just because I think that's going to be easier to find a power supply for. But if it seems like it has to be 7, then we'll go 7. So, okay. Be right back. Okay, and we're back. So, next, you know what we forgot? I guess we didn't really forget. We just kind of ran out of time. Here we are. We need to still stick a piece of carpet right here on the top. So, let's go ahead and do that. Just kind of fit this on. A little bit of extra, but not too much extra on the sides, because we already have a nice cut right there. And I'll have to trim that probably, but that's okay. All right, that seems okay. Okay. There we go. Now, I was looking at some carpet for the bottom, and I was thinking, you know, how I'm making it overlap and everything, and I might still do it, but it's going to take a whole lot more carpet than I thought, and we're kind of running out of this dark color carpet, but we do have a lighter gray, and so I think it'll be fine to have a lighter gray on top. That shouldn't be an issue. So let's, again, try to line up our two good sides, if we have 2 good sides. Maybe we don't. Alright, that looks okay. And we'll just stick a couple of screws in here. Looks like probably one. Trying to avoid all of our other screws. It's not going to be really easy, but let's see. Success. And that's a spot that's kind of close to another, so that's lucky. That's good. Oops, let's get that out of there. Need a screwdriver bit, not a stepping bit. Alright. That looks good. And over here, yeah. Boy, where are we going to put this one? Oh, here? Maybe at a slight angle? I guess we could even move it over a little bit if we're going to put it at an angle. If our angles, I don't want an angle though, because then the end of our screw is going to be cocked. So, all right, there looks all right. Oh no, it's not all right. Okay, well that's fine. We'll try again. I could go over in one way or the other, but how about here? Oh, yeah, okay, well, then we're hitting the one that's further down. How are we looking? That's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. Okay, well, how about... Alright, let's just move it over a little bit more. Maybe a little bit of flap that can move, but probably it's okay. Cat's going to be mostly scratching in the downward direction. Okay, do it. Oh no, that's not good. Somehow I managed to find right into my old hole. Alright, how about here? There we go, that does it. Man, so many screws in this little piece of wood. Poor guy. Way too many. You know, I probably should have just gone 3, but I don't know. It all lifts up. I should just glue it, right? Well, it's a little late for that. Forge ahead! I feel like if we go maybe in this area. Oh yeah, that's definitely coming out the front. Okay, back a little bit more. How about here? No confidence, and I don't want to hit my hole. How about right there? No. Oh, good grief, this is terrible. What to do? feel like maybe if I get right in this corner, right there, give it a shot. Wow, that's borderline a miracle right there. Where is that hole? It's here. All right, good. We just need one more in there, somewhere in this general area. We have no screws over here. That's gonna be perfect. I put it right where I want it. Right, thing is right there. All right. Ooh, that felt hot for a second. Maybe just because it's cold. I know how that goes. I imagine. All right. It's ugly. It's really ugly. But I guess it works. It's better than having screws poking out. All right, let's give it a trim. Let's start here. A little angle there. Alright. Okay. That's not too bad. We still need to cut this one. And maybe this one a little bit. That's pretty good. Alright. I'm happy with that. That'll be okay. It's not the best looking thing ever, but hopefully it'll work all right. If it works, we're set. Okay, so now clean it up a little bit here, get some stuff out of the way. Let's try to glue this on. Oh wait, you know what we need to do? And what I really need to do is go ahead and get some little tiny screws here, and let's try to glue this down. Let me grab some tiny screws real quick. I have some just here. I'll be right back. Okay, how's that for a tiny screw? I mean, it's not the tiniest screw ever. I've got tinier, but that's a pretty tiny screw. I don't think we need to pre-drill this. I'll probably regret not pre-drilling it, but let's go ahead and try. It doesn't go in that far. Yeah, that seems okay. I mean, that's alright. It's in there. We could even put another one on the other side if we really wanted to. And I brought enough over so we could. I might do that. Let's go ahead and get this one in first. Can you see what's going on here? It looks alright. Yeah, let's go ahead and stick them all along the top here just to really get that in there nicely. Then we don't have to glue this top part and let it cool for a long time. Especially since this top part is really, it doesn't need to have glue. It's just I was thinking that would be the easiest way. But actually these screws are probably the easiest way. So sometimes, yes, you want to do things the easiest way, right? Oh! Fudge. What happened here? I think I might have been a little too close, but I certainly whacked my finger a bit. Let's try that again. I think we're going to still make it if we give it a slightly different angle. There we go. That's probably okay. Yeah, like I managed to whack my finger on the side of that screw head. I got him bleeding a little bit. That's alright. Okay, that looks much better. And this looks okay. Now, if we glue that on there, we should be in business. Let's give it a shot. Now, I've been thinking about a couple things on how to glue this. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a little bit of glue down in here and then a little bit of glue around the edge. And so when I stick it together, hopefully we'll have a nice stick from all sides. Okay, just a little bit in there, and a little bit around here. Especially since this thing is actually, it was for a belt and it's got teeth on it, right? And so those teeth will really help this glue to grab. But I don't want it to smear around too much. I think that is probably going to do it, but I don't. I got too much glue coming out of there. Hard to say. It's really close. What we can keep doing is just keep twisting it. We need it to be as level as possible as well. As it dries, that's getting to be okay, I think. The idea being that if there's too much resistance, this thing should just pop right off, right? Just in case the cat gets something wrapped around his neck and he kind of yanks, this thing will hopefully either stop spinning or, I mean, there's a couple reasons that this thing should stop spinning. One is that the motor is not being powered enough to have enough torque. Second, the head of this thing will hopefully just come unglued. Third, these little cat toys should pop right out of these holes. So we're trying to go for as much safety on the cat's side of things as possible, because the last thing you want to do is build a toy for your cat because you love your cat and then have your cat die while playing with your toy. That would be terrible. So another way to prevent such horrible disasters, as I said before, make sure that your toy, whatever is dangling, is not long enough to reach from the end of your stick, right, from the end of your stick down back to your base, so it can't get wrapped around the base and then spun around a whole bunch. That would be really bad. But that seems okay, I think. And since it's just going to spin in short bursts, like this, it shouldn't even matter if it's slightly wobbly, as this slightly is, but it's not that bad. Right? It doesn't fall over, so I think that's okay. Yeah, you can see that glue dripping down, but it doesn't drip down enough to get stuck in any of the workings. And that the head of this thing also seems to help out with that. So okay, there's our main column with the toy position holes, and now what we want to do is attach to our base, I believe. So I was thinking of a couple ways we could do this. We could stick the carpet down first. So I don't know if I can get all this in frame simply because the camera is really close. We can cover the whole thing with one piece, right? But if we do so, it might be a little bit harder to get this thing centered properly, and we still have the solderless wire on there. And so first, let's get our wire soldered where we want it to be. So these are our door screws. All right, there's that. I wonder if I should put a washer on these ones especially, but we'll think about that. And I definitely want to start to glue things in. Not this one, because we still want this one, our microcontroller, to be able to lift up so that we can program with just an extension cable. But this one, definitely, our little board that we built, and around our wires that might possibly bend, we want to kind of secure those as well with some type of a stress relief, which is what we're going to do with hot glue. Uh-oh, got a little bit on my microcontroller, that's okay. Just make sure we don't put too much on there. Keep our transistor in the right spot. Alright, that should be enough glue. Let's just give it a moment to cool. If we blow on it, it'll go a little faster. Maybe hold it down while not sticking your finger into too much glue because that hurts. But we want to keep this low profile if we can. Alright, I'll move my finger because it is a little warm. Let me use this thing right here, this end of this knife. Hold that down. The knife feels no pain. And that seems like that's okay, and yet it still lays down in there pretty well. But not while it's cooling. Okay, so while that cools a little bit more, I think it's probably going to be okay now. I'm going to grab my heat shrink, which I put away and forgot to grab just a second ago. So let me get that real quick. All right. So now let's go ahead and prep our power wire that we're going to use to extend out, and we're also going to super glue. Hot glue. This area here where we have our connection to make sure we have some like strain relief. Shouldn't need much strain relief really, because we can also tie a knot in our wires when they're just south of this area, underneath our board. I like to use north and south. Perhaps you've recognized that, and that will prevent our wires from coming unsoldered. A little bit more than that. There we go. I gotta turn on my soldering iron. There we go. Okay, so we have here a situation which is not ideal. These wires I chose just because they were long. And now that I'm looking at them, I thought there was a black and a yellow and then just a yellow. But there's not. There's two black and yellows. These are, I believe, 12-volt wires out of an old PC power supply. Now, I don't want that. I don't know why I kept twisting those. I'm going to find something else. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I have a heat shrink. I have my wire. And this is actually an old power cord out of who knows what, probably some type of power supply, probably a 5-volt or something that got repurposed into an internal power supply or something. And this is what we'll use. We could have gone ahead and just soldered this directly to our points, now that I think about it. And it might have been a little bit better because these wires are a little bit rinky-dink. But hindsight's always 20/20, and I've already hot glued that in. So I'm going to just run it as it is. In the future, if I were to make one of these again, I would just go ahead and use a thicker wire, and I recommend that you use a slightly thicker wire for your power. These were originally test wires, and I didn't think about changing them out. I'm sorry. I probably should have. I don't think it's going to cause a problem, especially since I'm going to heat shrink it. So what we need to do is basically just figure out how we're going to do this. We're going to put our black is going to be our ground, and our black with a white stripe is going to be our positive. Okie dokie. Sounds good to me. So the thing you don't want to forget when doing something like this, always put your heat shrink tube on first, because our other ends are taken up. I'm going to go ahead and use these like tin snips, since that's what I have on hand. I forgot to bring my little side snips. Don't need much, just need enough to cover the solder. And you also want to make sure that it goes far enough down your wire so that you don't accidentally pre-shrink your tubing with just the heat of the soldering iron. I've been there, I've done that, and it's just annoying because you have to keep doing it. Alright, let's get this in a little bit better of an angle. I think I have enough solder on both of these wires to make this quick and easy. If not, I'll add more. Yeah, that seems okay. Almost. Let's go ahead and grab some extra solder here. Stick it on the end here since we're pre-tinned. You don't really need all that rosin that's in there, resin. Sorry, I sometimes say rosin simply because my father tended to say rosin when I was growing up. And that's way too much solder on there, and it's really poorly done. Now, I know there are really good ways of soldering two wires together, and side by side like this is not the best, but we're trying to minimize profile and just get a good solder. If you can ensure that they're well soldered all the way around, then really this is a good enough way to do it for most applications. Well, for some applications. For this application, maybe not even for this application. You should always do things the best way possible. I just don't. And I'm alright with that. Sometimes my projects fail. Sometimes they work okay for a while, and then they start to fail. And it's probably because I don't always do things the best way. And for me, that's okay. That's what I keep telling myself anyway. Okay, so now let's heat those up real quick with our hot air. As I have described before, I find that this is the best way. Soldering iron can do it, lighter can do it, and this does it best. It doesn't have to be a hot air reflow station type hot air gun. The hobby ones that you buy for real cheap, I use those sometimes too. They also work. Okay, that looks alright. Now, to get a good stress relief, I think what we're going to want to do is supply a little bit of slack both before and after our solder joint. At least before it. And hot glue that. Just stick a bunch, fill it all up. But you definitely want to glue before and after your solder joints, I believe. Just to make sure that this thing is pretty secure. And if it gets yanked on a little bit, then it's going to yank on the glue and not on your solder joints. Using the dull side of my blade to just kind of push my wires into the glue a little bit better. Okay, that looks alright. Now if we can just let that cool, this should be able to fit back down in there now. Looking good. So I'm going to finish up the programming for this thing last of all. Why? Simply because programming takes me a little bit of time, and I'm not going to do all of it on video because it would be beyond boring. I'll show you kind of progress as I make it, maybe, But definitely final product, I'll show you my code, and I'll of course post it available for download as well. But it's, you know, if it's my programming, it's programming that's really simple enough for anybody to do, as long as you can understand the idea of you need a setup loop, you need a main loop, and you can follow some syntax or at least copy and paste it from different places on the net. You can probably handle my programming. Okay, that's looking quite nice. So now what we're gonna need is some screws that we can screw into our base here, and unfortunately these are looking a little bit too small, and that's all I brought with me. So of course I have to go get some more screws. So that's life, that's how it goes. I'll have stopped the video again. As I've said already, we're technically closed today. I just stopped by, try to finish this thing up as quick as I can, and I'm not really trying to make it the most beautiful thing ever right now. I'm just trying to make it something that works. I want to see this thing work. So I'll be right back.